All right. Good afternoon, everybody. I am at a training, so I'm obviously not in class today. So I went ahead and I'm going to record this for the lesson today. And if you want to just follow along, and we'll go from there. Okay. And I will be back in class on Thursday, so we'll have a recorded lesson for Wednesday as well. So let's go ahead and get started. So we're working on text. We're still in graphics, the graphics section, but we're working on text now. So we have text and constant. So let's see here. The prompt says, who can remind us what we mean when we say graphics? So graphics are anything visual that we see on the screen when our program runs. So for example, last week when we had the background with and the chickens, when we were drawing the chickens. So those are all graphics. Okay. So far we've learned how to create things like characters, props, and backgrounds. Today we're going to take a look at how we can draw text to our window as well. So add that as a layer in our coding. Okay, so here we got two screenshots of popular phone apps. What's missing? Well, at first glance, the first obvious thing is there's no text. So let's look at the messaging screenshots on the left. What specific text would you expect to see in a messaging app? So you can pause the video here and take a minute, 30 seconds or so, and take a look at what all's missing. But at first glance, the messages are gone. The name of the person you're messaging is gone. The letters on the keyboard and the time at which each message was sent. Those are all missing. So how useful is a message app without text? I mean, what's the point, I suppose, using a messaging app if there's no text other than just sending little pictures, little graphics? I suppose if you use it for memes only, that would actually, it's not a bad idea for a map. You're just slamming people with memes all day long. Although the memes usually have text on them, so that wouldn't be helpful either. Okay, well, they're not useful at all because you can't read or write any messages, and you don't know to whom you're messaging. That's true too, unless you just broadcast it out to everybody. Let's look at the photo sharing screenshot on the right. What specific text would you expect to see in a photo sharing app? So pause here, take a look at it, and think about it for a second. Okay. All right, back. The name of the person you're viewing, that person's biography, how many posts and followers that person has, information about each photo, how useful is a photo sharing app without any text? Somewhat useful because you can still see photos, but you can't see any information about them. Okay, text. An on-screen graphic based on a string. Okay, so we have some new language down here, or not language, but new script. A text variable is equal to tsap.textLabel roboto black.ttf, and then a bunch of attributes, high, tsap, and red. Okay. We usually think about pictures when we're talking about graphics, but text is also part of graphics when we're not just talking about the console. To create text in our programs, we use the text label class from the TSAP library. There are a lot of arguments we include to create a text label. In order, they are the font size, the X position, the Y position, the width of the text box, the string we want to appear, and the color. So that's what you see in blue after text and TSAP text label. Okay, so if you need to see that again or hear that again, just back it up. The text argument, the last argument, the color is optional. You do not need to include the argument. You can leave that ending in the in this example, the high. You can leave that there with the parentheses after. The color black will be picked by default. This is the first time we've seen an argument for a function that is optional, but we'll learn more about this sort of argument later. What text might we want to appear in games that we design? Think about that for a second. What kind of text do we want to appear in a game that we might design? Right? So we want to see probably instructions. We definitely want to see score. Otherwise, what's the point? And then just playing for fun if you're not trying to beat somebody or beat a score. You want to see options. What kinds of options? And player names, things like that. Okay, so get this text, get that into your vocabulary in your notes if you don't have it already. Okay. All right, so we're going to explore a sample program that uses text. So I'm going to switch over to the code here. Okay. You can go ahead and open it up as well. You're going to have to flip back and forth probably, but okay, we want to open up part 2. There we go. Okay, we're going to I'm going to open and run the file from the project panel and give you about a minute or so to explore it. So I'll run it first so you can see it. Time's up. Okay. So what does the program do? It counts down from 10 to 0 with numbers 0, 3 in red, kind of a warning like, hey, you're about to run out of time. 3 minutes to experiment, changing the code to see what happens. So go ahead and go in there. Let's see here. Let me shrink this down so you can see more of the code. Okay, so go ahead and go into the code and go around and look at it. Obviously, the first thing we see up here is we're importing the TSAP library. The next thing we talked about last week, we're creating a graphic window, right? So window is the variable, and the tsap.graphics window, where everything is built into, all right? So go ahead and mess around with the rest of the code here to see if you can make any changes. All right, and go ahead and whatever changes you make, write them down or type them into your notebook, whatever notebook you're using, so that we can talk about it. Well, we won't talk about it when we get back because we won't have time. We have to keep moving on. And then share out to the class. Those of you that are in class, share out what you did. Take a minute to do that. What you noticed, what possible prompts. For example, did anyone print a time is up message? What did that code look like? If seconds is equal to 0, countdown.text equals time is up, something like that, for example. Did anyone find a color other than black to use? Okay, let's see here, because I think you can come into part 3. Oh, no. Nope. Never mind. It's not there. Sometimes they print the background stuff that you're pulling from. Let's see here. Did anyone find a color other than black? Did you pull up like a red or a green or whatever? For example, blue with TSAP is blue or magenta, tsap.magenta. Did anyone try a color name that did not work? For example, orange or purple. Okay, let me shrink this back down. There we go. Okay, all right, I'm going to switch back to slides now. Okay, so I know I'm going through the video pretty fast, but that's fine. You can pause it and play or manipulate the code however you want to. I suppose that's a nice thing about watching a recorded video. Maybe we should do this in class. I should do this in class. That way, if you miss class, you can go back and watch the lesson. I'll talk to you guys about that on Thursday if this is helpful for you guys to go back. I should have probably been doing this from day one. That way, if you missed school, you can go back and watch the lesson. Excuse me. All right, so let's keep moving forward. A constant, a variable that stores a value that does not change. All right, so it's just like science. A constant is something that does not change. Okay, constants are written in all capital letters specifically so that we know that it's a constant. We'll most often use constants from libraries. But it's also possible to define a constant in our code as a reminder to ourselves that we shouldn't change anywhere. It shouldn't change anywhere in our program. So the constant should stay a constant. Okay. For example, we wouldn't usually want the size of a button or the color of our normal text to change as our program runs. So we can use constants for those values. We would use literals instead, but having one constant to refer to makes it easier to remember, and ensures we're constant throughout our program. We'll learn some more uses of constants once we start talking about mouse and keyboard inputs. So go ahead and make sure the constant in the description and the example below is in your notes, right? Color variable is equal to tsap.green, button height equals 30, okay? And so on. Okay, moving on. Okay, we will use the color constants built into tsap to set the color of our text. Okay, these are the 15 available color constants, which you can find in CodeAssist as well. These specific colors are the standard set of colors used by web pages and web browsers. So, so that you see that the colors are all capitalized. That means they're constants. That's, as I mentioned in previous slides, those are constants. Okay, next slide. Okay, similar to sprites with image files, when creating a text label instance, we need a font file in our project for the first argument. There are over 100 fonts you can choose from for your text. Once you've added the file to your project, you need to make sure that the first argument matches the full file name exactly. Follow the instructions on the slide with 2 minutes to explore. Okay, what are some of the fonts that you saw you were excited about using? Okay, you can go ahead and pause that if you need to and look around. I'm going to continue on to the next slide. Okay. Much like when we're writing a document in a text editor like Microsoft Word or Google Docs, we can align our text to different parts of the screen. By default, text is aligned to the left, but by changing the align attribute with a new string value, we can instead align the same text to the center or to the right. We'll learn more about aligning text in one of the techniques in this lesson. Remember that the fifth argument for our text label is the width of the invisible box that the text is drawn into. See, if you need to go back a couple slides and look at the description for each one of those as a reminder, go ahead and do that. Increasing the width means more words will appear on each line, but you need to make sure your words aren't drawn off the edge of the screen. Let's try creating our own text on screen in a new program. So we're going to open up part 3. Let me switch over to code so you can see what I'm doing. There you go. Open a project. We're going to open up part 3 here. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and minimize this so you can see the screen. And we don't have an assignment right now, so I'm going to close that for you guys so you can see the whole screen. So let's explore our text options by printing our names a few different styles. Okay, let's see here. Change that to be my name. Okay, so I'm going to open up the project panel now, and I'm going to add, let's see, the fonts, yeah, they're right there. I'm going to add 3 font types. I suppose it really doesn't matter. I like that one. Let's add that one. Font Bigelow. Okay, why are they adding? We need to refresh. Huh. Why are they not? Oh, there we go down here. Oh, looking in the wrong place. Fonts. Okay. Let's see here. What else? I need to add. Let's see. Rye, Regular, and Serena. Let's look for those two. Down towards the bottom. Rye, Regular. And Serena, Regular. Boy, there's a lot of S's. Serena, there we go. Let's get rid of this one. Oh, it doesn't matter. All right, let's go back up to part 3 here. All right, let's see here. After the create some text instances comment, we need to add some text. Text 1 variable equals tsap underscore dot text. It should be capitalized. Text label. Let me shrink these down so you can see what's going on. All right, hang on a second. What happened? tsap dot. There we go. Wow. Sorry about that. Okay, Serena. Regular dot ttf 50 comma 0 comma 100 comma 1018 comma name. Right, we created the name variable up top, so that's just placing the name in here, and then our color tsap.gray, in all capital, GRAY, not EY. Okay. Okay, so what is the font size of this first instance? Okay, if you remember back on this whole line of text here, the font is 50. What is the X and Y position of this instance? X is 0 right here, and the Y is 100. Okay, how wide is the text instance? How wide is 1018 pixels right here? Okay, which is the full width of the window, 1018. If you remember from last week, we talked about how wide the window is. Okay, and let's see here. All right, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to copy and paste these in here one at a time, just for the sake of time. Okay, text2 variable, tsap text label, rye regular.ttf, 100, 50, 300, 1018. Name again, tsap, and aqua. Okay, and then we're going to, we're going to copy the next text here, text 3, tsap text label, Bigelow rules.regular.ttf. Okay, you got size 50, x is 0, y is 500, and then the pixels across 10,000, 1018. Again, the name variable and the tsap lime color. Okay. Excuse me. All right, so let's see here. You can add, you can adjust the font colors and font sizes however you'd like. We'll use the align attribute to control the horizontal position in a moment. Okay. Again, I'm going to, just for the sake of time, add that text 1. Okay, we're adding text at object text 1 variable. And then we're adding the second text line here. Again, in the window.add object, text 2 from up here. And number 3, Number 3. Again, we're adding text to the scene. This time it's variable text 3. Okay. So let's go ahead and run the code to see how the text is drawn right now. Make sure, hopefully there's no errors. Robert. Okay. 3 different fonts, 3 different sizes, and then 3 different locations. They're all the same on the X, but the Y is different. Okay, 100, 300, and 500 towards the bottom down there. Okay, next we're going to add the text align. Again, if you need to pause the video to type this stuff in, that's perfectly fine. Do whatever you need to do. Rewind, whatever. I'm not here in person, so do what you need to do. All right, so under align the text, lines 26 and 27 here, we've got text 2.align center, and then text 3.align equals right. So let's run this and see what it looks like now. Okay, so we got Robert to the left, Robert in the center, and Robert to the right. Okay, why don't we need a line for text 1.align? Okay, since they all automatically by default start to the left side, we can just leave that alone and let it align to the left. Okay, all right, so let's switch back to slides. Where? Why aren't you working? There we go. Okay, last slide. All right, so let's talk through one more complete example. What does this code do? So if we look at it from the top here, text equals tsap dot text label roboto black.ttf 50, 0, 100, 500 over here, and then tsap silver window.add object, and then while window is running, text.x equals random randint 0 and 800 window.finish frame. So what does this code do? Okay, pause the video if you need to. Think about it. Look at the video. Look at the text for a while. I'll give you a second, then I'm going to go ahead and read it. So it creates text with a font size of 50. Right, that's the 50 in the second line up there. At X coordinate 0 and Y coordinate 100, that says over here in silver. Every frame, the text gets a new horizontal position. Okay. All right. Let's see here. Pause for a second. Okay, so I went ahead and opened up everything for today. The instruction practice 3.4 and both of them actually, the creative caption and the King's Armies. So go ahead and spend the rest of class working on those two. Down below where under homework where it says the graphics, these are just the lesson notes, okay? But I'll have a new video for tomorrow for you guys to work on and watch. Other than that, I will see you guys on Thursday. Have a good day.